Hi there. My name is Jeffrey Venture. I write for the Convention Collective, and I'm honored to be here with Damion Poitier and Hannibal Tabu today to talk to the team behind the Sundering, the Nation Beneath Our Feet campaign setting book, where the whole of the Thezwarian Nation has been rendered from its home planet and dropped into your campaign setting. I'm so glad to have you two here today. Can you introduce yourselves really quick?
All right, I'll go first. My name is Hannibal Tabu. I was like, you talk first? I don't know. My name is Hannibal Tabu. I am the main writer, I guess, on the Sundering, the Nation Beneath Our Feet. I'm really sleepy. I'm sorry. And I'm very happy to be doing this. I've also won the Top Cow Talent Hunt in 2012, written for Bleeding Cool, Comic Book Resources, Vibe Magazine, Rap Pages. I wrote MPLS Sound for Humanoids. I've done a thing or two.
Yes. I'm Damion Poitier. I'm an actor, stuntman, motion capture, voice over, a few things I'm sure I've forgotten. Writer. I've been in most of the things you love, and I'm trying to get into the rest of them.
Love it. Love it. So glad to have both of you here today. And very excited too about this campaign setting book that you're bringing forward. Can you tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter before we jump in?
Yeah, so this Sundering is it's a brainchild of Hannibal and me. You know, I was like, we were spitballing, we had a conversation, and I was like, I'd like to see a campaign setting that kind of more centered our POV, because there isn't one that I'm aware of that's in 5e. I know there are some other offerings that are different systems, but I don't believe there's a 5e campaign setting that I know of. Mm-hmm. If I'm incorrect, please direct my attention to it with an @ in any of the many social media feeds I'm at. But that I'm aware of that centers our POV. So I was like, let's do this thing. And I was like, actually, no, I'm sorry. I said, we should probably do something about that. And like a week later, Hannibal was like, here. And I was like, what is this? He's like, the thing you said we should probably do something about. And I'm like, oh, we're doing it. He's like, oh, yeah. So then like Hannibal's just, and I'm like running around and doing all this other stuff. And then he's like, look at this. I'm like, and then we'd talk and he spitball a couple things and Hannibal's, it's just kind of, so then I get a call and it's like, hey, we're going to do a campaign for our source book. And I'm like, source book? And he's like, yeah, we're going to get together with Unlikely Heroes Studios and we're going to do Kickstarter for it and get the campaign going. I was like, oh, so yeah, it was very, very much a wonderful rush of let's go, you know. The car pulled up with the wheel squealing. He snatched the door open and said, get in, fool, we're going. And I was like, huh? So I'm still trying to get my shoe on and Hannibal's flooring it, but we're getting there.
That is awesome. Love it. All right, so where are people going to check out the Kickstarter and tell us a little bit about what's included in it? I know that you guys have gone past some stretch goals at this point. Some really cool stuff that's getting added onto it. Just keeps on growing.
Yes, sir.
Well, they can go to uhstudios.com/kickit2, KICKIT2, and that will lead them directly to the campaign page. And we got a lot of stuff going on. I believe you pulled in the most recent big get, right, Damion?
Yeah. So of people who know me or know me from streaming know that I'm quite closely associated with a well-known dungeon master, B. Dave Walters, and he is going to be doing a one-shot for us. It's not going to be streaming. It's just going to be a one-shot. Up to 3 people right now we're talking about can do a one-shot game in the Sundering module with B. Dave. So that's our latest offering. There are more coming fast because we are having trouble keeping up with the speed of the stretch goals are coming hard and fast. Like I honestly don't even think Dave's had a chance to. He's like, yeah, we'll do it. When do I need to? He's like, let me know when you guys hit the goal. And I'm like, it's we're past it. We're almost at the next one. He's like, oh, okay. So things are moving hard and fast, and it's wonderful. But yeah, so that's very exciting. There's we've got how many pages did we start with, Hannibal?
120.
Yeah, 120 is where we started. We have a lot more.
It's in the neighborhood of 180 now, but we'll see how it ends up, because several of the future stretch goals are also expansion packs and encounter packs for the book. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot more of the nation to be discovered, and it's going fast, so we might discover quite a bit of it. We got T-shirts now. We got stickers. We have, it's dice. Have you seen the dice? I love the dice.
I have not seen the dice yet.
Oh yeah,
cool.
There's dice. Yeah, there's a box set. There's the campaign they put together has been ridiculous. So, and I'm very excited. And every time I get a chance to just dip in and start playing around with stuff, I'm like, and then you gotta go do the other thing, and I'm like, we're gonna go play there. But it's just been like it's interesting when you have a cooperative idea with someone and you kind of like spitball a little bit, and then you're like, okay, yeah, we should do it. And then you come back and you're like, this is exactly, if not better than what I wanted. And that's so it's so fun and awesome to be able to have exactly what you're looking for and to be able to support it and put it out and share it with the world. Like sharing it with the world is the craziest thing, because a lot of us have ideas and they're sitting in our head and they're just stewing around, but actually getting to share it and find people who are like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. And it's the thing you've been, you got to write the thing you've been looking for, put the thing that you've been looking for out so that other people who are also looking for it can get it. And that's what Hannibal is just enabling on a massive scale here for this idea. So I'm very appreciative.
That is awesome. All right. So with bringing this world to everybody, I really wanted to dig into, it sounds like you guys have spent a lot of time thinking about the peoples and the cultures in this world. Can you tell me a little bit about the Thezwarian Nation and what dungeon masters need to know to bring these unique parts of the campaign setting to their tables?
I could tell you a lot about the Thezwarian Nation, but I don't think you're here for an hour worth of lore dump. Anyway, the Thezwarian Nation is basically a campaign setting that gives dungeon masters the opportunity to do pretty much anything that they want. So, for example, if they're like, oh, there were no warforges. Nope, we got warforged and lizard folk and goblins and storm giants, and we got abominations, and we got mind renders, which I'm saying because I'm not legally allowed to use another word. All these things are available in one place. And the best thing for me, because I wanted to make it super modular, is for people to play. People have characters that they've been dedicated to for years. And they're like, I don't want to make a new character to play. I want to play my character. Bring your character. I don't care. But the beauty of the nation being rended off of its world and dropped into an ocean somewhere, I mean, it could be Eberron, it could be Exandria, it could be off the coast of Barovia with the Curse of Straw. Or it could be in a completely new homebrew that the people have made themselves. Or they could pick up some of the clues that I left and just venture out into a new world that I may or may not have several expansion packs available for. So it just depends on what the dungeon master wants to do. I wanted to give them the utmost freedom and the players the utmost agency to be able to accomplish what they wanted to do in a fantasy setting. If somebody's like, I've spent years grinding to develop this level 16, barbarian. Oh, you should be able to bring that level 16 barbarian, and I've got some things for that player to do. Some very frightening things for that player to do. Come swing by the Unholy Cabaret, which is a vampire theater where everybody who dies that day marches across the stage in a show. Or, send them out to River Run where they can, I know, right? Or send them out to River Run where the Elven Beastmaster, the last master of the Alabaster Assembly, holds court over a group essentially labeled terrorists by everybody in the nation. There's all kind of bananas things that you can get into in the nation. And I want people to have the freedom and fun to say, what's for me? Where's the place for me? So, for example, there's a whole magical, because I essentially call the nation Magical California because it's long and it's thin and it's got a whole bunch of people shuffled to it. But, one of my favorite, there's a lot of in-jokes to myself. So one of my favorite things is there's a chair store in this area called Pana, which is a generally kind of Pan-Asian sort of area. And it's this chair store is called the Citadel, Citadel. So, because I'm a dad and I love puns. So, and there's a whole intrigue around that with this criminal organization shaking them down for money and it's all kind of shenanigans. So, yeah, I've poured every wild and insane idea, especially given I'm putting my son into college. There's a character named Alistair Lupus who he tracks people down if they haven't paid back the Arcane College or the College of Performing Arts for Bard. if they haven't paid them their money. He's a student loan wolf. So I'm just enormously happy with him.
I'm glad that you brought the realism of student loans into our fantasy setting.
Are you?
Maybe not. All right. And there was another piece that I've been seeing in a lot of the material you've been putting out. Inclusion seems to be really important to the setting that you guys have put together. Can you tell me a little bit about the inclusion embedded in the cultures of the nation?
Yeah, I could. One of the things that I definitely thought was that if people can remember how to pronounce Yggdrasil, they should be able to pronounce Bard Harajan, or they should be able to pronounce Chijioke. These are, and those are just two of my friends. I wanted a game that reflected what I saw in the world and what I saw and experienced in a lot of ways. So while you will definitely find your traditional high elves with, fine porcelain features of yada yada, you're also going to find wild elves who look like my daughter, or you're going to find, one of my favorite, a paladin of this god called the Sixth God, the god of randomness, who is this based very largely on this Asian lady that I work in my job, who's of Japanese heritage, and she wanted to make sure that somebody who looked like her was in the game. I'm like, sure, totally, all of that is in there, shove it in there. The reason why is because studies have shown that more diverse projects make more money. They are more successful. They have more longevity. Kevin Feige absolutely would be like, oh yeah, I figured that out with Black Panther. 27 days to $1 billion. Yeah, I figured that out. And moreover, it gives room for everybody to have a space at the table. When there is a place where people feel left out, then from a business standpoint, you're limiting the amount of money you can make. But from a more general sense, you're limiting the wholeness of a game that people can experience. One of my favorite areas is in this game. We announced this? Oh, Lori's not here. She can't stop me. So there's an area called the City of Death.
Exclusives. You heard it here first.
I knew this was going to happen. And she's like, I can't make it. I'm like, well, but
Spill the beans.
He going to do what he going to do.
I'm the Tom Holland of TTRPGs. I'm sorry. The City of Death is like the Babylonian afterlife, and it's based very heavily on that. Which, as I started studying this when I was like 12, and I was fascinated by it because I was like, this is terrible. Why would you want this to be your afterlife? I've got to do something with it. And yeah, so I built that all out with very specific cultural references. I spent a lot of time with an Ifa priest the other day talking about the Oath of Invocation Paladin subclass, which is going to be very heavily based on Ifa and Yoruba spirituality. So I wanted to make sure I got those details right. So when people come and they see themselves in the game, they feel empowered. They feel very validated in many ways.
It's been like, I'm a huge fan of popular media, but it's just, there are certain points in almost all the offerings I get that are coming across my desk and everything right now, where I'm doing something, I'm enjoying it, I'm in it and everything like that, and they say or do something that makes me go, because they just don't understand. You know what I mean? They brought a piece of lore or a piece of something into it, or just a statement, an action by a character, something that just excludes individuals. And it's probably going to happen here because it's almost impossible to include everybody. But my whole thing is, I just want everybody, like you said, everybody's got a seat at the table. I want everybody to feel like they can find a place here and be themselves, or be whoever it is they want to be in the nation. That's what it is. It's just very frustrating to be, to have grown up on these stories, to have, formed, so much of my career and my life around these stories and the telling of them, and to never ever feel like I'm at home in them. And I don't want anybody to feel that way. If we can eliminate as many times that you look at something and go, oh, there's a story I heard about. It's like one of my greatest modern or recent pop culture disappointment was Finn in Star Wars. There were so many ads of him with a lightsaber. Just so many ads of him with a lightsaber. And don't get me wrong, we got Samuel Jackson, and that was amazing. But I was so looking forward to seeing the stormtrooper becomes the Jedi.
Right?
I was like, that's like the most amazing thing ever. You know, and it's the only black stormtrooper you ever see, too. I'm like, this is fantastic. This is gonna be so much fun. I sat down, I watched the movie, and I was like, and a friend of mine said he was in a toy store, like Target or something, and he was in the Star Wars section, and these little black kids were looking at this, looking at the lightsaber. I guess someone's seen the movie, and they go, "Oh, we don't get to be Jedi."
That's heartbreaking.
And I was like, you know,
yeah,
it's just like, I don't ever want anyone that comes after me to feel that way. I want everyone to know that you can be anything, you can do anything, and I want people to be able to see themselves everywhere. Because everybody, there's nothing stopping anyone from doing things but perception. You know, and sometimes socioeconomic state, but we'll get into that later.
I love that what you guys are doing is so important because it starts with just telling more stories, right? To have more people feel represented. There's 1,000 stories about Thor and 1,000 other characters that we know, but
right.
People need to see their cultures represented. I absolutely agree.
And you need to see it where you come from. You know, I mean, there's obviously probably a couple hundred thousand, at least the thousands of African cultures. I don't know what part of Africa my family's from. You know, I don't know what those cultures are. So I'm American. So so to have something that comes out of America that, and where I grew up and and have those kind of conventionalities to it, but at the same time represent me, that's what I'm looking for. You know, I do want to know, my historical and lineage and all that other stuff, but I also want the place that I live in, the place where I was raised, the place where I grew up, the things that I was surrounded by to represent me. And so here we are. I'm like, Hannibal's. And we're getting there, and it's yeah.
Incredibly important work that you guys are doing. Fantastic. All right. Let's switch gears a little bit here. I want to know what the heck a comba cat is and what's going on with these Zyka creatures.
Okay, let me roll up my lore sleeves here for you. Okay. So, fun story. There was a flying city called Noble, which was a great engineering and arcane feat that was put together by the nation, because they got to the idea one day, like, what happens if we run out of land? And they're like, oh crap, we should think about that. We should make more stuff. What if it flies? So they make this flying city, and they put all their most insanely talented and in some cases just plain insane mages up there, including this one guy who, if I remember correctly, I'm going to try to, oh yeah, I remember, because I wrote this fairly recently. Nigel Akinrele was a wizard who was doing experiments that some may consider unnatural. And he thought, what would happen if I took a tiger and I mixed it with a blue dragon wormling, and I mixed it with this extra dimensional thing I found in this space of darkness? What would happen then? That would be cool, right? And luckily he didn't tell anyone, because anyone would have said, oh God, no, what are you doing? No, don't do that. But he didn't tell anybody, so he did it. And he made these things called comba cats, which are enormously fast and can essentially, I believe it's twice per long rest. Is it once or twice per long rest? They can cast darkness and then misty step through that darkness to another spot. And they're about the size of, they're a little bit bigger than the horse. They're a little bit bigger than Damion's horse. But
that's pretty big.
And they're just they escaped when the city crashed, and they kind of propagated it around the nation. So now there's this insanely dangerous species of murder cat, teleporting murder cat, all around the nation. So you're welcome.
Incredible.
A very, very unusual thing, because apparently there's some ruins off the west coast of the nation that nobody can really understand what they are. And these creatures called Zyka are there, and they can only say two words, Judicandus and Zyka. That's all they ever say. And they say it in random kind of combinations or whatever. And they kind of attack almost anybody they see by casting blindness, by casting paralysis, by casting, and they're about 10 feet tall, and they're kind of giant roly-polies, basically. And they have a queen somewhere in their structure, but nobody can really get that far into them because, there's more and more of them the deeper you go in. And no matter your saving throws, if people keep throwing paralysis, sleep, blindness, deafness, sooner or later, one of them is going to get you, no matter how many times you do it with advantage. And that starts to weigh a party down if they're trying to make their way to the queen. And in this case of the story, people just kind of avoid them because they just kind of stay to themselves for the most part. But yeah, they're 10-foot tall, roly-polies who cast a disturbing number of spells but have some wicked sweet gear.
Sounds incredible. Can't wait to put them in my own game.
Oh no, the Zyker lose! Zyker! Zyker!
I was also very curious about the Vengi that you put into the game. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what makes these guys unique.
Okay, so I so every once in a while I just get like a Hannibal can tell you this. I go on a tear. Like I get an idea and it just like I get a download of like the entire thing. And the idea behind the Vengi is they live on a plane, or actually they live underneath a plane, but it's not actually a plane. It's the top of a multi-level forest. But it's so interwoven and flowers come up that it seems like it's a plane. So, so all of a sudden the plane will open up and a bunch of Vengi will come out and they'll do things, do whatever they do. And then they go back underneath. And what like most of the people in the nation don't realize is there's actually an entire like underground rainforest style forest. There's like several layers and they actually live in the trees. So it's a valley that's covered that ends up looking like a plane, but there's an entire valley behind there. And they have a complex, there's different levels. There's the ground, ones who live on the ground, the ones who live in the middle, the ones who live up top do most of the raiding. It's a very like just fun, and we're still working on a lot of the details, but they're blue skinned and they're slightly apish elves. Like they're a little heavier than elves, and the long ears and everything like that. And are we still keeping them blue, or did we change because we made something else blue? Did we change them from blue because it's like
blue is new? Blue is news to me, so
right.
We haven't written it down yet, 100%. Right. So you can do whatever you want.
Maybe we'll change them because the Zyka are blue. But yeah, I'd actually have to go through my notes because that was 8 months ago that we had that fury of.
All I heard was you lead, do the thing, so I went and did the thing.
Yeah, I just kind of had this idea of like apish elf-like creatures that live underneath a plane that people don't realize is actually under a forest underneath.
Very good.
So yeah, and they have their own traditions, magic, and things that I'm gonna say 3 words about, and Hannibal will write 4 books about, and then but they're gonna be really cool. And I'm figuring out how much I want to keep them isolated versus integrated into the cultures. There's still some things being worked out there. There might be a few that are wandering. They have like a Rumspringer where they come up under the surface and go check out the above worlders who don't even realize that's who they are. So yeah, it's gonna be it's as soon as I get a chance to sit down and with Hannibal and really parse those out more, it's gonna be really, really cool.
Excited to see it. And with that as well, I was very curious. I'm always curious with these supplements, what kind of mechanics you're bringing in with new subclasses. What can players look forward to with the new subclass options that you're bringing forward?
Okay, here we go. All right. So as I said, one of my favorites is the Oath of Invocation Paladin, which I jokingly to myself call the Polymorph Paladin. In most African spiritual systems, there's something that ends up essentially being referred to as kepara, which is transformation. So, for example, in Kemetic spirituality, you don't pray to your ancestors, you pray to manifest as your ancestors. You don't pray to the god, you pray to manifest as the god. So, in this, the paladin will call upon the energy of this one Ifa spirit to kind of manifest certain traits to protect what it feels is the natural order. In some cases, it will feel the natural order is saving people. In some places, it will feel, oh, this forest fire has to happen to clear stuff, so you're fighting it is bad, so I'm coming to fight you. It just depends on the specifics of the thing that's happening. And from a standpoint of mechanics, purely mechanics, I'm something of a strict constructionist, so I'm sticking as closely as I can to the rules of 5e as they stand, but I'm going right up to the line and I'm pressing as hard as I can against them. So when I think of things like that, or the College of Slapstick Bar, oh wait, I don't know if we've announced that yet. Oops. Anyway.
Lori's not here, she knew that.
It's not my fault. I trusted them. What do you want me to do? Anyway, so or what's another subclass that we actually did that I'm trying to remember what
one, right?
Thank you. Okay, because the Pact of Sky and Suffering. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So those are essentially warlocks that are empowered by dragons. Dragons and gods are very interventionist in this world. They take a very active role in what's happening, and the dragons, knowing how they're hunted, knowing they're essentially persecuted because they kind of want to murder everybody, they enact cat's paws to do their bidding, that they promise things or whatever. Like in Goldeneye, what has this Cossack promised you? So mine just stuck with me for some reason. So yeah, these are essentially dragon warlocks, and they essentially, as they go on, at a high level, there's one thing, they have a really great ability that gives them the ability to do this insane amount of damage, but there's a 1 in 20 chance that they'll be completely taken over by the dragon and lose their identity. Oh. It's only on a natural 1 though. Mm-hmm. So, if they roll a 2 to 20, they're fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, that natural 1 means, well, time to roll some new character sheet for you, pal.
Very cool. Very cool. And with all that being said, have you guys gotten a chance to play test some of this? I'm curious how much you played in your own setting as part of getting all this. I see.
So
I see.
I said, a long time ago, Damion said to me, "Julie, do the thing." So I went out and I did the thing, and I found 2 groups of people. One civilians, and the second one is a group of people at my job. And I just started playing them in areas. I'm like, all right, let's take you to the Hotel Caledonia. Now let's take you to the city of Davia. Now let's take you out to a river run. Let's do these different things. And I've played 45 sessions with the first group and 13 sessions with the other one. And
wow.
The Zyka was my most fun in testing.
Yeah.
Because I only sent 2 Zyka after a group of 5 of them, and these were level 7. And they were fighting a long time. It was really, really difficult for them. They survived, but yeah, the Zykas were amusingly tough. And knowing as I know that in the Zyka compound that there's waves and waves and waves of them, I just started cracking up, and I thought that was really funny. So yes, I have had some opportunity. Damion, however, has a fun story about how he and I have been trying to play test that he may want to share with you.
Which one? Where I keep saying let's play, and then all of a sudden the thing I'm working on that I can't talk about is like, we need you to do all this stuff, and then I can't play, and then I end up or they're like, hey, can you do this thing? And I'm like, sure, I'll do this thing, and then I look at the thing, it's a lot more of a thing than I thought it was, and so I can't play. Is that story you're talking about?
Yeah, I think that's really funny to me.
Yeah, I'm involved in a project that's incredibly rewarding, but also incredibly challenging and time consuming. So it's been tricky to kind of do other things while I'm doing that.
Indeed.
Yeah. So.
All right.
And then there's the whole life pandemic, yada yada, bits of insanity that we're all dealing with. So.
Yep.
The basics.
The basics, yeah.
And the horse.
Well, that is awesome to hear that there's still a couple things that are undecided yet, more things that you're bringing forward to the table. And I'll thank you guys for jumping in here and giving me a little bit of a scoop, a couple of exclusives ahead of our launch.
The second this goes out, I'm going to get a call from Lori. Hannibal!
All right, let's.
I thought I need the big stretch goals. I didn't do that. So
I'm just saying, I'd like to be on the call just so I can be in the loop as to what's going on. Just keep me in the loop. That's all.
All right, let's
Mostly
bring it
just
home,
her
guys.
yelling at me, mostly.
One more time, let's tell them where they can go support that Kickstarter and where we're at, and it has an end date coming up in a little bit here, right? So limited time.
It
is
yes
September 9th. Yeah, it's September 9th. We have 20 days to go.
All right.
And they can go to uhstudios.com/kickit2, all splashed together, the number 2, KICKIT2, the number 2. And they can get there. We currently have 435 backers. We're so grateful for their support. We will work very hard not to disappoint. And we're going to be closing this down in 20 days. And I'm really trying hard not to say the really big stretch goal stuff. So I'm going to behave and not have Lori completely just drive and try to murder me. So. Oh, sorry.
And ultimately, you can just go to Kickstarter and just type the Sundering in. Mm-hmm. It'll pop up that way too. If you're, just Kickstarter the Sundering, we'll get there. And come in and see what we're doing. Come support. Let us know how you feel about it. All the other stuff. Hannibal can be found at
HANNIBALTABU. That's Hannibal Tabu. It's on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, Plurk, an ancient rune in your backyard, and everywhere that you want to be.
Likewise, the AMIONPOITIER everywhere. Same thing. Keep it simple, except for the spelling. And on both lists, make it as easy to find if you can spell our names.
Yep.
Possible.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I'm so excited to see this thing when it comes out. And I've been Jeffrey Venture of the Convention Collective. Thank you for watching.